Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us once again.
Hi, you guys. It's super, super, super great to see you all here. Super wonderful. Hi, Roadster. Hi, Steve. Hi, Nuclear. Nathan C. Ozboy. Jesse.
Great to see you guys. It was a nice day out there. We just worked all day.
Yeah.
It's just been 100% of the day behind the desk.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, it's just been a busy day, and then last night too was another somewhat sleepless night. How many of you guys in the chat room are having a hard time sleeping lately? Because it seems like I always wake up after about 3 hours, and then it's almost like I can't get back to sleep.
Yeah, that both of us do that. So what I do is I do mantras in my head.
Yeah, I do too, actually. A lot, yeah, and then just try to repeat something. I mean, and the funny part is I woke up this morning feeling really good. And even though I didn't really sleep last night, thank you for the kiss, Elena from Mexico. And see, Arizona's in the house. Nathan, you're in Australia, and I know you're not getting sleep either. Rutzer says, sleeping well, crazy dreams. Yeah, vivid dreams when you do get them. Spin says they're a little bit dizzy because they're doing some heavy drinking. Well, yeah, everybody handles these times in their own way. And, it's just, it'll make you dizzy without the drinking. The news.
Totally. Really quick before we get started, I don't see Nicole in the chat, but I do wish that we could send her healing energy. She's kind of not feeling well. She has a lot of work to do. She runs a farm on her own, so she really doesn't have time to be sick. So if we can all just sort of huddle around her, send her some energy, and a special thanks to all of our mods out there. You guys are super awesome. I so appreciate you guys are so on target.
Yeah, thank you guys for your help in all this, and we'll send Nicole love, peace, and healing energy, as well as everybody else out there. If anybody has any family that's not feeling well, lots of cases of flu, obviously, lots of suspected cases or unreported cases of coronavirus, and then we got new stuff all the time. We were talking about that new virus in Africa before, and now we've got another one in Brazil. There she is. Nicole's there.
Hi, Nicole. We're just wishing you love and sending you healing energy and support because we know you're really busy. You have a lot of work to do.
Much love. Hey there, Bill. Good to see you. Jerry, TC, Peaceful Patriot. Lincia says dizzy in Ontario too. Everybody's saying this. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Boy, we have had some bombing going on. I mean, they are busy over there.
They are. They're doing these runs, and I'm pretty sure they're dry runs, but I've never heard of this before. This is a little strange, and we do get a town meeting on the 18th, and I really want to go.
Yeah, and you've been here 25 years?
A long time.
Something like that.
A long time, yeah.
So actually 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. You've been here 30 years and haven't experienced and again, these are not showing up on the USGS, and sorry to divert you guys off topic here, as quakes, because they don't even feel like quakes. They feel like bombs. I mean, you could hear them. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and then it rumbles for 20 seconds afterwards. It's just crazy. It makes you wonder what are they testing? What are they doing these dry runs for?
Something's up. Yeah. Something's up because we're feeling this on a regular basis. And they're not really showing anything. The test site is huge. Like to drive from Vegas to go up to Tonopah is probably 4 hours. You think Vegas to Tonopah?
Yeah, 3.5, 4 hours.
So that's how big this airbase is. I mean, look at the size of this airbase. I mean, it's massive. Yeah. That one little dot is most definitely a bomb. But they're doing a lot more bombing than that.
And it's weird because they just started once all of this weirdness broke out with the virus.
Yeah, so something's up, and I see we got 0 people watching. Yay!
Yay! Look at that. We got you guys are all so awesome. Thanks for joining us. Like short notice too. That's what you're super awesome about. You come on here, you come and listen to us, and we love the energy thrown back and forth in this place. It's just awesome. It's like one big healing thing. Even though we do have to report on yucky stuff, we can still have good energy about it.
Exactly. And so let's take a peek at what we got going on. So now they're saying 42,767 confirmed cases. The red dots are starting to cover more and more of the country of China. Over 1,000 deaths now, 1,013 deaths, and they're showing 3,950 people recovered. So of those cases, there's now 135 in the other category, which I'm assuming is people on cruise ships, which I guess they don't know how to, qualify them. 45 in Singapore, 38 Hong Kong, 32 Thailand, 27 South Korea, 26 Japan, 18 Malaysia, 18 Taiwan, 15 Australia, 14 Germany, 14 Vietnam, 12 in the U.S. That stayed the same for quite a while. 11 in France, 10 in Macau, 8 in the UAE, 8 in the UK. So that's a bump up. And 7 in Canada, but we know about that group of 5. And then Brother David told us about a case right by his house, where they're watching somebody in the UK, and 3 in Italy. So, it's on the rise. There's some interesting things going on. Of course, everybody's just guessing at what really is going on as far as the numbers, but here he is. He made an appearance. Maybe he heard everybody talking about where did the president go. Well, here he is. He's allowing himself to have his temperature taken, I guess. Or maybe they're scanning the microchip he has implanted in his wrist.
It looks more like a scanning to me of a microchip.
Yeah, very interesting. So President Xi Jinping appears in public as China returns to work after the holiday. President greets workers in Beijing as the WHO chief warns cases could be the tip of the iceberg. And so, thank you, WHO, for your prompt response.
Yay. Yes, thank you, WHO. We're so grateful.
Yeah, they most definitely dragged their feet, and now they're saying, well, this might be the tip of the iceberg. So members of the WHO flew to China to help coordinate the response to the virus, which has infected more than 40,000 people, killed over 1,000 now. And the country reported 97 fatalities in a single day. So that's the largest since the outbreak was detected. But we know those numbers are complete BS as well. We don't know exactly how bad it is. And then, of course, we're suspecting a lot more. As you see, one of the things that we've all been told is you got to have your eyes covered, and yet nobody does. Right. What's up with that?
Well, there's some kind of story, and they're not sticking to it at all.
No, they're not. So, you see, meanwhile, a further 60 cases were confirmed on a cruise ship. Definitely not the place to be in these times with what's going on. Docked in Japan. And the UK declared that the virus constituted a serious threat and imminent threat to public health. And then WHO Director Tedros, who said on Sunday that recent cases of the coronavirus patients who have never visited China could be a tip of the iceberg. So, how many people are basically dying of the flu, of which there's been, over 10,000 in the U.S.? How many of those are actually part of this? Any? A small percentage or a decent percentage?
Right. There's just so many layers of deceit here. And from what I can see, what I can gather, medical martial law is far, far worse than martial law.
Yes. And so you see, again, the UK added 4 cases to bring it up to 8. Here we see an interesting little thing. This robot, a creepy coronavirus detecting robot from Bryant Park, is in New York, and it was dispatched to Midtown Manhattan to help detect the coronavirus only for the plug to be pulled within an hour. It's a 5-foot tall droid which was created by a Pennsylvania-based company, Promobot. It was booted Thursday from Bryant Park while screening parkgoers for the deadly virus,
God, that's creepy.
using a survey quizzing them about possible symptoms. Only 3 people were able to take the interactive survey, which asks questions like, have you had a fever in the last 3 days, before park security sent the gizmo packing. So the officers argued the bot lacked a permit for moving machinery, according to company founder Oleg Kivarkutsev. Days earlier, the machine, which has models starting at $25,000, I guess that's pretty reasonable for a bot, depends on what it could do, was handing out protective surgical masks in Times Square. So that's kind of interesting to see that. And then, at first I read this and thought, oh, this is no big deal. This is what they've been doing. And then I realized that this is not China, this is the UK. So police wearing hazmat suits will be able to handcuff suspected coronavirus patients and force them back into quarantine. Tough new laws after a patient tried to break out from Aero Park and total UK infected number doubles to 8. So Health Secretary Matt Hancock says coronavirus is serious and an imminent threat to the British public. And the announcement will give the government powers to act forcibly to quarantine victims, which I hate to hear that after what we have seen as just absolute brutality going on over in China.
It is. It's really creepy. I mean, with that robot, that feels like they're just sort of kind of dipping their toes in the water to see what it feels like. I don't like any of this. Not one bit.
And of course, we have all this spraying going on. We don't know what's in the spraying as well. As you see people with masks on now. These are both these guys are quarantined, and they're in Aero Park Hospital, Wirral, Merseyside. 2 weeks of isolation should be coming to an end Saturday this week. So, yeah, there's a lot of people in isolation. And here we see CBP officers at Virginia Airport intercept dead birds and passenger baggage from China. What's up with that? That's disgusting.
I don't know. I wonder, could they be bringing them in? Could they carry something maybe? Like a virus?
I don't know. It's weird. So this package contained a bunch of unknown small birds, 2.5 to 3.5 inches in length. During a baggage examination, CBP agriculture specialists discovered a package with pictures of a cat and a dog that the passenger said was cat food. What is up with that? I mean, that's just gross.
That is pretty gross.
I don't know. Strange stuff, guys. Really strange. And here we see super spreaders. This is a new term out now. Super spreaders could make coronavirus outbreak harder to contain. So these are people that will spread it en masse and not necessarily show themselves to be sick. And so, a super spreader, quote unquote, can pass on the illness to dozens. Mm-hmm. And, right away I think of Typhoid Mary,
Yeah, me too. Typhoid Mary. So that's that we could do a show on that too.
So now you see 11 total military quarantine centers set up for the flu, coronavirus. And so this is a list of some of those there. So, prepping is definitely underway on a global scale. And this is out of Zero Hedge. Even the mainstream media is now admitting that humanity is facing a perfect storm. And this is like what we've been talking about, with the recent videos we've been doing. It's like we're up against this perfect storm of earth changes and, everything going on with the coronavirus and new viruses just popping up left and right everywhere we look.
That's why I'm really curious. I'm watching these new viruses that are coming up and all the information about uncovering things in Antarctica and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So, as this says, and this was authored by Michael Schneider. So over the last several decades, have we ever seen a year start off like 2020 has? Global weather patterns gone completely nuts. Large earthquakes are popping off like firecrackers. looks like a plague of locusts in Africa could soon develop into the worst in modern history. A massive plague of bats is severely terrorizing parts of Australia. On top of that, African swine fever is wiping out millions upon millions of pigs around the globe. Literally, tremendous portions of the global population of pigs have been just decimated when you look at that. The H1N1 swine flu is killing people in Taiwan. There have been H5N1 bird flu outbreaks in China and India. The H5N8 bird flu has made an appearance at a poultry facility in Saudi Arabia. And of course, the coronavirus outbreak, which is causing people to literally drop dead in the streets in China, is making more headlines than anything mentioned so far. And it could potentially turn into a horrifying global pandemic that kills millions of people. But other than that, it has been a rather calm beginning of the year, huh? Yeah, sure. And so he goes on to talk about how, the timing of the perfect storm is upon us, and many others have also been using this terminology to describe what we are now facing. So we're entering a period where we'll be dealing with one terrible crisis after another, and all these challenges will collectively create a horrific nightmare that will just continue to intensify as time rolls along. And, underlying a lot of it is going to be just the economic situation, that big global collapse. It's just looking more and more likely. And, just because of all these things, and, some might say that's fear mongering. I think it's just, looking at it from a kind of factual point of view.
Right. They're relevant topics that are being discussed, and I mean, anybody would discuss them. I think it's important that we bring them to people's attention and give information about that. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Like we were talking about the winds, and he touches the winds. When do we ever see, the type of wind situation? And, the wind is not let up all day today. And we basically live in a mobile home. This place will not make it long term. With the wind situation as it gets more and more intense. And as I've shared with you, I'd say 80 to 90% of the people in this area are in mobile homes. Yeah. And then, of course, go down to Florida, there's tons of people living in mobile homes. And the winds are whipping up everywhere around the globe. Obviously, you don't want to be in any sort of mobile home when there's a tornado, as we've seen stick-built houses and even houses constructed of cinder blocks and rebar just decimated. So everything is intensifying. We have areas that are beautiful and wonderful, and they're getting submerged in floods constantly. And, everything is hitting at the same time right now. So, those that are biblically orientated, and if you look at it like the tribulation started in August of 2017, we're approaching that halfway point, where things get even worse. You could see that, and you got to wonder, the powers that be, what type of powers do they really have? As we know, Tesla, for instance, had an earthquake machine over like 120 years ago, 130 years ago. As we know, there's patents to controlling the weather that go back to the 40s and the 50s and even earlier. I've talked about all this and done over 2,000, I think about 2,000 videos now. So, some things feel really redundant to me. But again, there's new people always looking at this. But, it's right out there that we could control a lot of the weather. And so you have to wonder what's going on. And, people were thought of as being crazy, saying things were being sprayed up in the skies by airplanes. But there's declassified documents, and there's patents out for that as well. So, that's just a fact. And now they've even admitted it, that they have to spray to keep global warming from happening, even though it's been done for, 50 years almost now, and the scope has just increased. So, yeah, it most definitely is a perfect storm that we are seeing.
Well, yeah, and just recently they admitted that they are actually spraying. Otherwise, they've been saying that what we're saying is all conspiracy and not true, but finally they admit it. So, like, how many times do the conspiracy theorists need to be right before, before it's no longer considered a conspiracy? But, they're the ones who get to write the rules, I guess.
Yeah. And so, I understand that like certain topics I go on doesn't make everybody happy because some people are still very, very entrenched in certain aspects of the global matrix that we find ourselves in, and can't seem to see past certain topics that they just can't release a mind view, a certain framing, a picturing of the situation, because we've been so indoctrinated in every way. It's just, Stephanie says conspiracy fact. I mean, what one has been disproven? There's by far more that's been proven than disproven. I mean, you look at even simple small things like the nonstick cookware that, was talked about as being harmful. And then we found out, and now everybody's looking for, cookware that is green and not toxic. How about the bottles? And now, we know we need to get BPA-free bottles. And, it just goes on and on. The microwave is another one. Suntan lotion is another one. I mean, we could go on and on with all these things. Spraying, obviously, weather modification. It's one thing after another, and we could go down into the V side of things and talk about, all the kids with autism and stuff. I mean, it's just... one thing after another, it turns out, it was right, as well.
Yeah.
And,
sorry we gave you so much crap, but you were right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, most definitely. And there's so many hidden things still that we haven't really discovered yet. Trying to control all the food and all the seeds. They really are trying to do that. Control the water. You have places that are having water shortages and droughts, and their water is being taken away by big companies like Pepsi, and it's just crazy, really. It really is crazy, but people have to go and do research to find these things out. So here you see the Delhi government checks 2,885 who traveled to China. 10 are isolated. India is the next big area that people are concerned with because of the population density. So India has just about the same amount of people as China and a little bit less space. And obviously some areas over there are jam-packed, and, there's some areas where maybe there's not the best hygiene, and things could really spread quickly. And between India and China, oh my gosh, you imagine the percentage of the population that would be exposed, because together, you're looking at almost half the world's population with those two countries. And of course, there's other areas as well. So, we've seen so many people getting boarded into buildings, welded shut doors. And there's a lot of buildings on fire as well. And this is Harry Chen tweeting this out. State media is claiming another arson. My question is, are there people locked up in there that can't get out?
Right, exactly. That's pretty sick to think about, and disturbing that this would happen and then they just allow it.
Yeah, because this is not the first one that we've seen. There's been several, and you got to wonder, are there people in there?
I know, it's terrible. I want to think that it's empty, but reality says we've seen them locking people in there.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's just, terrifying to contemplate. It's just horrible to contemplate, and, hopefully there's nobody in there. And then we see 2 police assisting a cooperative young lady. And those 2 policemen should be thankful that they're not doing this to a lady that's coming up in a video that's coming up shortly, as we see them, grabbing her pretty rough there. Now, does she look sick? I don't know. She doesn't really look sick to me. I don't know if she was just not kneeling because she was tired or anything. But we've seen worse. And here you have full frontal chemical dispersion, I guess, disinfection. Yeah, we see this everywhere, and you got to wonder what's in it. let's hope it's not produced by Monsanto.
Oh my gosh, I know the Monsanto stuff is terrible.
And talking openly because, we're not going to even try to get this thing monetized, because anytime you talk about the coronavirus, you can't get it monetized. So I don't want to go home in a box. Florida couple trapped on cruise ship amid coronavirus outbreak, and they got 9 more days for quarantine. This is the Diamond Princess. And over here you see drones monitoring citizens to aid in law enforcement, making sure people are wearing their face masks.
Wow, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I've had dreams about that going back like 20, 30 years, and I didn't even know what drones were back in those days. And this is the girl I'm talking about. So if we pull this back to here, she's coming out to take the trash, and she's been pent up. Oh, just got to get some exercise in. Now that reminds me of my old teacher. She's wicked like that. So yeah, I'd like to see those two guys try to, strong arm her.
Oh God, I would love that. That would be fabulous.
And here's exactly what we're talking about. Close up, police sealing off houses so people can't get out. And then, when we see that and we see this, it just is just horrifying.
It is. That's terrible, and then what are we supposed to think? That's all this information's coming out. We're supposed to take it, absorb it, process it, and do what with it? This is all kind of gross.
So here a shop owner has given away thousands of face masks as well as handmade sanitizer as, the coronavirus drives up fears. And look at the line of people out here. This was yesterday. So, and again, if you could catch it through your eyes, most of these people don't have anything on their eyes. And nothing on their hands either.
Right.
False sense of security there. 90% of our employees are working 24/7. Every day we need at least 100 body bags. And this workers at crematoriums in Wuhan say their workload has increased dramatically over recent days, constantly picking up bodies from hospitals and private homes.
That's just horrible and disgusting.
And this is Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding. Chinese government is now officially cheating the numbers. Well, yeah, they've been doing that the whole time. Test positive, but no symptoms? Well, China will no longer count that person as a confirmed case. But we were talking about super spreaders, people that go out and infect 12 people. And the RO, from what I'm seeing, most people are saying the RO is close to around 4, and maybe it's even more. So the average person is infecting 4 others, and they got super spreaders, which will infect a dozen or more. So if you're not counting these people, especially if you're letting these people move about, it's just like, can we say stupidity?
Right. It's just all so horrible.
It is. And how are things going to be in the rest of the world? The U.S. right now is still just showing 12. But, we've got our suspicions about that. And then there's, of course, everything else going on right now as well. And so here you see new coronavirus infections confirmed on cruise ship, quarantined at Yokohama port. And this is Dr. Eric again. He says, wow, 30%, 136 of 439 Diamond Princess ship passengers tested positive for the coronavirus. 30%. If we extrapolate that to 3,000 plus passengers, even if the percentage is lower, we're talking about close to about 1,000 people that are positive for this. That's huge.
That's frighteningly huge.
And that's, that's not in the numbers either, because that other category is growing. And I think I already closed that out. But the other category is definitely growing, but still it's not showing a whole bunch of other ones. And I just include this. I'll get you guys the link because he's over there. This is Ricky Lau. And so he's in Wuhan, and he's just talking about the situation and what people are experiencing there. And he seems like a really nice guy. So I'll get you guys the link to that as well. So Wuhan virus, experts find how moderate 2019 nCoV infection ends with death. Well, there's an awful lot of people that get moderate symptoms, seem to be maybe progressing, getting better, and then all of a sudden multiple organ failure, and it just shuts down multiple organs in their bodies. And so it seems to come in waves, and it's interesting. So experts have blamed a form of systemic inflammatory response syndrome called a cytokine storm for killing some novel coronavirus infected patients who were not very sick in the early stages of infection, but eventually died of multiple organ failure, according to Chinese media reports. That sounds awful lot like this thing is orchestrated, which I think most of us believe it's orchestrated. I really haven't heard anybody say, oh, this is just natural. This is normal.
No, I haven't. It's pretty disgusting.
So, yeah. So it appears that, people could seem like they're, and we're starting to hear this more and more. There was I forget what that couple was that we were talking about yesterday, where it was just that case, that they seemed like they were getting better, and then all of a sudden they were getting sicker. I think were they in San Francisco? I want to say. But that's basically what they're looking at there. And here you see UK coronavirus GP surgery on lockdown as TWO medics test positive for bug, and the super spreader puts hundreds at risk. There's that term again.
Yeah.
And so the County Oak Medical Center in Brighton, East Sussex was closed while staff in hazmat suits deep clean for surgery. And, there's and again, nothing on his eyes, So what's up with that as well? UK, have 4 more people now that are added to this. And so super spreader, so these cases are all linked to one another. And again, they're calling this person a super spreader that has linked a lot of people with the virus here.
I would really hate to be a super spreader, really.
I'm sure that, if you were determined to be that, you would be feeling guilty, sorry. Yeah. So this is in Australia, Darwin mining camp preparing for evacuees. And from what I read, potentially thousands they're going to have space for as well, as more camps get ready around the globe in the U.S., Australia, other places as well. Hundreds of Chinese businesses seek billions to contend with the coronavirus. The economic impact will be something that will most definitely hit. And as we said before, this really could be the thing that triggers that global systemic economic collapse. And it really is a perfect storm, just like Zero Hedge was talking about. And China most definitely is getting the hardest hit. And China People's Liberation Army indicted for stealing 145 million Americans' data in Equifax hack. So interesting, and don't forget what was going on before all this happened. We just had that economic agreement that was signed, like a certain stage 1. And, and it just seemed like as soon as that deal was done, boom, this is when the virus came out.
Someone that I know personally who does do like private work, for the government used to actually pointed that out to me as if asking me to, connect those dots without telling me to connect those dots, because he can only say so much. But yeah, that's significant. That's very significant to this. I'm not sure exactly where it fits in the story, but it's definitely part of this story that's happening, and part of the deceit and part of the lies that we're being fed. When they say coronavirus, it's like Raven said, it's like saying the word frog. If it's like the coronavirus where you have to be quarantined, shouldn't they specify in the media, well, it's coronavirus, blah, blah, blah. But I feel there's wordplay. I feel there's deception on so many levels here to bring about some kind of control. And that's why, I believe in my heart and my soul, right now, what should be on everyone's mind is your own health, like your own absolute tip-top health. I think that's what's going to keep people safe, is putting their immune systems on steroids, not literally, but do take good care of yourself right now.
Absolutely. Be aware of what's out there. And take your precautions as well. So like, our brother Dave from the UK, he just said that like this hospital that's literally 5 minutes from him has a potential case, and that's one of the things that all of a sudden will make you just like take a quick breath, like, wow, this is real, this is right around here. And even though we are out in the middle of nowhere, there are people that go to Death Valley, and they go through this area. They have a couple different routes to get to Death Valley. And so, people that go on planes, come from, most of the people we see around here locally, I'd say are from France, Italy, UK, typically European, but every now and then we'll get some people from China or Japan as well, and they're, in our favorite hangout, and literally that is packed pretty tight at times, close quarters. So it makes you realize when people are potentially in the zone. We were talking about being able to be spread last night, even 100 yards away. So, it's just one of those things. Like yesterday, we went to a little local market that has it's a farming community area and local produce, and just picked up a couple avocados, and but at the same time, as soon as we didn't wear masks, nobody was wearing masks, and we did immediately use hand sanitizer.
We'd use the hand sanitizers, but this is like such a little remote, out of the way place. There's no reason for anyone to even go through that area, and I don't know, it just felt safe,
Yeah, but the feelings can be off too. You just don't know, because look at that UK situation with that one person infecting a bunch, and it's just, again, taking precautions. And even though, again, these are tiny little towns with not many people in them, you still just don't know. So better safe than sorry.
Well, I look at the virus as a huge opportunist. So our first defense should be our health.
Yeah, most definitely. And taking care of your health. And the other thing is, too, I don't think we're all sold on all of this as far as, what's really going on. And obviously we think the numbers are totally off. But also, I think really people's immune systems are suppressed. And I think what we're seeing is more a result of massive immune system suppression going on in the masses. And there's a lot of things that are suppressing our immune systems. Obviously, the nutrition in the foods, the food choices, but there's more to it. There's way more to it. And, I think, again, part of it is what's up in the skies each day. How do we know? How do we know, when we see those gray clouds up there, how do we know exactly what's in them? And, we're being told now, we got all these news articles coming out saying, well, because of global warming, the viruses are now, being spread, viruses that we haven't seen in thousands of years, viruses that, we've never seen before are being unlocked by the permafrost and the glaciers melting. And, I got to wonder if it's just, is that a coincidence? Is that a scapegoat, of sorts? So then we automatically think, well, yeah, I just saw that. I saw that on Live Science. They were just talking about all these viruses being unleashed by Mother Nature on us. Sure. I agree with Sandra there. What she says, I do think that's the bigger picture there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on with this. I'm just totally kind of sitting back watching, and as far as I think we all need to keep a really positive attitude, and I think it's important to let people know what's going on as best as we can. I think that's the fair thing to do. I don't think it's fair if you know things and you stay completely silent. And that's why I say what I say and I do what I do. But I really want to emphasize that I don't mean to bring fear on anybody. I just really think we need to keep our eyes open and be cautious.
So if our immune systems are being suppressed, we have to build them. And we need to definitely, as when we were talking to Rosemary, one of the first things she said is every day we have to detox. We have to be detoxing all the time. And we could do it in different ways. For me and Cindy, we don't, we do intermittent fasting. So, that's just natural for us, typically in about a 6-hour window, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours typically. It just gets to be second nature. And I actually do my best work with a cup or two of coffee starting in the morning when I wake up. And then maybe like around 3 o'clock is when we'll usually 3 or 4 we'll eat something. And so, that gives the body time to break down disease material. So that helps. And we haven't had the willpower lately to do a 72-hour fast. But if you do a 72-hour water fast, you could also take in herbal teas and you could take black coffee in as well. That gives you an entire immune system reboot. And boy, do our immune systems need to be rebooted? They sure do. Yes. We need it so bad, but lately we haven't had the willpower to do the 3-day water fast, which we really got to do.
I know. We've been a little bit sloppy that away, but we'll get there. We will.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, when we should do it sooner than later, and it's something for all you guys too. I did a video on that complete immune system reboot. And just basically, it actually increases human growth hormone. It stimulates the production of stem cells, and those are the amazing cells in the body that can bring new life to us and do so much great things for us. No, herbal tea won't break a fast. So you're okay with that. You don't want to take in any calories. You don't want to add any sugar to it. Don't add any milk to it. Just have it plain. So, I mean, you could have like jasmine tea, black tea, green tea. They won't break your fast. Everybody's body chemistry is a little different. No calories is what you don't want calories coming in. And, those things don't really have calories. I mean, like a cup of coffee might have maybe 1 calorie, at that it's trace. So it won't really do anything. And boy, I feel like I could think a lot better when I do.
Well, that's what, Native Americans, shamans did. They would go on these fasting things, and that would bring them closer to God. So it definitely makes your brain work better, and your brain and your stomach are like somewhat connected, have a lot of the same makeup in it, actually. So when you clean those out, to me, it's like cleaning out like if you have a car and you take it out on the road and you blast it and you blow out those pipes, it's like a good pipe blowing thing for your brain and your gut.
And Ricky says, yes, as long as I can have coffee, and I'm with you. I just want coffee in the morning, and then, I don't care, food whenever. It doesn't really matter. And so, yeah, intermittent fasting is a definite powerful thing. We've talked about coffee enemas. I know, enemas scare a lot of people. They really could do amazing things for us as well. Yeah. And coffee enemas will really give you a liver flush. So it's good. And our livers are exposed to a lot of toxins. So that could really help as well. As the watching drops by like 150 people. So they don't want, again, that's a subject. They don't want people knowing how they could take care of themselves in a natural way. And that really shows you some of the bigger agenda going on. So yeah, coffee enemas, fasting is great. You could use bentonite clay and diatomaceous earth to help remove some toxins from the body. There's a lot of things we can do. Obviously, there's so many herbs that could help. And, taking vitamin C is just a simple thing to boost your immune system. Echinacea, very powerful booster. Garlic, they use tons of garlic in just about everything that we cook as well. So yeah, milk thistle is great for the liver as well. That's a good liver cleanse. And Sandra's right on again with another true comment there. It's all about money and control. As we go down to zero, look at that now, zero watching, because the powers that be that control our system, this is what they don't want, because they control through, as we've been talking about, the allopathic medicine that we find ourselves in, that you cannot speak up against in any way, shape, or form. That's even in, it's right in basically the approved and unapproved items there.
Thank you, Grizzly. I live by Nashville. We have a major airport, so I'm just waiting for them to say coronavirus is here in Tennessee. I know that's got to be concerning, but that's where we go within and we boost our own immune system and take control of what we can take control of. And thank you so much for your support.
So yeah, we're taking on a regular basis, vitamin C for one, obviously.
Every few hours, like Raven said, a little bit,
Yeah, we're just, giving it consistent. Been taking colloidal gold as well as silver. Yep. And, colloidal silver is just a standard for us as well. And we haven't turned blue yet.
No.
Not yet. But if we end up looking like Smurfs, we'll show you guys.
Yeah, we'll show you.
We promise.
Yeah.
And we have so many other things here as far as tools. There's so many great tools. And we've done videos on that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I get back to, as I was saying in that last video I did talking about the creation story in the Bible, at first it said that the fruit of the trees is your food, and the leaves, the herbs, they're your medicine. And then after the fall, then that's when the sacrifices come in, and that's when we're told to take dominion over the land and subjugate. Very interesting, isn't it, when you look at it that way?
It is interesting, like I said, there's like many layers of information, misinformation, and it's really nice to be able to have all you guys in chat, because you throw pieces of the puzzle out. We all have a little piece to contribute, which is super awesome.
Most definitely. And so, yeah, pink Himalayan salt. I know people were talking about salt over there and iodine, and pink Himalayan salt is just magnificent. I love it. And in fact, I think out on the porch right now is probably a 70-pound bag that I ordered. And I said to Cindy, should I get a 10-pound bag or should I get the big one? And she said, get the big one. Yeah. Because honestly, long term too, with you could, for food storage, you could salt things for food storage. It's also a great detoxifier to add to your bath. So it definitely raises your vibrations. Pink Himalayan salt is just magnificent in my opinion. I love it.
It's magical. I love it too.
And now I can't take regular table salt. And if we ever go out and somebody's cooked with regular table salt, it's just like gross to me. Because the pink Himalayan, it's almost like you cannot make something too salty. But yet it's so rich in minerals. It's so good for you. And it's just great. And, if you're buying like Morton's salt, things like that, that is just, it's so horrible and so stripped of all the nutrients. That's what they do. They strip things of their nutrients. They strip things of the natural buffers that, help to make things good for us. And that's really what they do in so much of the pharmaceutical industry as well. Break things down into the smallest components, but they take away all the natural buffers that Mother Nature put in there.
Yeah, and David Lewis says table salt contains glass and sand. I wouldn't be surprised at all. That stuff just pure toxic. It's like they take the sugar and everything that's good that comes out of the sugar cane is like the molasses. So the molasses is black. It tastes horrible, but it's good for you. But what's left over is the white sugar. And then salt. I don't know how they do the salt thing, but I just know that white table salt is bad.
Yeah, so pink Himalayan salt, it's a great thing to have. I forget how much I paid for it, but I think
It's free shipping on Amazon.
Yeah, free shipping. I want to say it cost about $70, I think, for something like that for
50 pounds.
50-pound bag. Yeah, 50-pound bag for like $70. Oregano oil, yeah, wow. I mean, that's potent. Woo. I mean, it's tough to put down, but we do, and it does work. Oregano oil is very strong as well. Thank you, Nicole. So, I just thought it's a worthwhile investment, because what if things really shut down for 6 months or a year even? We don't know. But at least also because we have organic seeds with like the chickpeas that we have and the beans. Not all the beans I have are they're all GMO certified, but some of them are not necessarily organic. I just was trying to bulk up, which usually I always buy only organic. And the rice I got's organic, and also it's local. It's from California. But you could grow like the chickpeas. So all these we could grow. I have regular peas as well. We could grow as well as wheat. I mean, there's so much stuff that we just need to get our butts in more gear. There's just not enough time in the day, basically.
I know. I think I'm gonna ask the boss to tack on another 4 hours or so, maybe.
Boss?
Whoever controls time.
Oh, okay. It's a time. So, my friends, as always, thank you guys so much for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi, and thank you, Grizzly. A lot of the stuff in Walmart comes from China, so you just have to know, where you're sourcing stuff through, and I don't like to support Amazon, like we said. To go to a store for us is 3 hours of driving. And so, we do order from Amazon looking at where we're sourcing things through. And thank you guys so much for your support. Stay healthy. We the People says if you need shoes, order now. That might be a good idea as well. So, guys, as always, God bless and namaste, and stay safe out there.
God bless and namaste.